Welcome back. So today I wanted to show you how to put your limes to great use. There is a recipe that you can do which is quick and easy with your limes. If you see them drying out like in the kitchen, or if you have some dried out ones that you've placed in your corner to remove and suck out negativity, you can then use them to create black limes. And black limes, I use them to create a blocking powder to stop enemies, to push them away, and to help them from stop coming into your dreams. So I know a lot of you that have issues with enemies and or you're doing enemy work. Many of you continuously see those enemies around you. If you're continuously seeing your enemies in your dreams, there isn't much heavy protection among you mentally. You do need some cleansing, and you do need some more protection among you. When you block out enemies, when you freeze them and you stop them from coming into your life, you should stop also seeing them into your dreams as well. So depending on what's happening into your dreams, if they're trying to talk to you and they're still coming around you, and or if they're bothering you in your dreams, then you need heavier protection among you. And there are some of you who have dreams where your enemies are trying to kill you and just do a lot of crazy stuff to you. So that right there, that's an indication that the spell work that you've done on the enemy is not quite affecting them yet. So I'm going to show you how to create a powder using your green limes. And I'm going to tell you 3 ingredients to help you to protect you mentally, physically, and spiritually. So the green limes that you see in the background, what I've done is I've dehydrated these. And they're rock hard. You can hear them. I place sometimes 10 to 15 limes in some hot water. I boil them up a bit. And then what I do, I dry them off. And then I place them into an oven. You can use a toaster oven, which is quite easy to keep on and to monitor. The toaster oven to me is much better than having the heat, the regular oven in your house going for hours throughout the day. And I'll set it to around 175 degrees, and I'll place them on an aluminum pan, and I'll let them dry out until they start turning, and they'll darken and darken and darken and darken until they turn black. Now, what I do with those black limes is I get my mortar and pestle, break it up. This one is one that's broken. You can see the seeds in there. I add in a bit of barberry root powder and black pepper, which is great for keeping enemies away. This recipe is also going to block them from coming around you. And if you're having an issue with them coming around you on a consistent basis, after we make the powder, then I'll show you how to use a jumbo candle. And you use the jumbo candle. You'll write their name on it 9 times going down. And you use this to block them out in full. Using the same powder along with my stay away oil and my blocked oil. So it's quick and easy. And once you get used to creating small things, by watching my channel and making small potions and spells for yourself, it'll be easier for you to protect yourself. And once you know how to protect yourself, then you can go ahead and protect yourself from others. And I have many protection spells on here, and I have also spells to help you to cleanse yourself. So during this period and this time, it's really good to use white skulls to cleanse your mind, as well as your fairy wall spells to help remove negativity, block out enemies, and just keep yourself mentally sustained, okay? So I'm going to crush this all up. Once I crush this up, I'll be back to show you what it looks like. I'm actually going to use 2. So I'm going to put this in here to show you how it looks crushed. It's very easy to break because they're really dry. So I'm going to crush up 2. And I'll be right back. And I use this mortar and pestle all the time to crush up like anything that's dark, anything that's other than my regular ceramic mortar and pestle, because I don't want to combine the energy of using something to defend against enemies, against the things that I'll use to protect. So having more than one is really good. You will then combine the barberry root powder, which is great for blocking enemies away, keeping them out, just keeping them at bay. and they'll leave you alone. If you work this correctly and you work it consistently, they will begin to leave you alone. I want to use 1 spoonful of the black salt. Regular grounded black salt. You can use black salt from your kitchen. I don't want to crush up my my limes too much, but you can. And if you, when you do crush it up a lot, you'll get a black powder. You get a black powder basically. But I want to use this on skulls, and I want to use this into glass candles. I want to use it into glass candles. I want to also use it with my jumbo candles. So I want to keep the thick hull around the lime present. But again, as I mentioned, you can crush it down more. Now, the simple spell, as I mentioned, I'm going to transfer this into a container. I want the consistency to be just like this, because I'm going to place a lot of those hulls around the skulls and under and around the black image candle. Now, it's quite simple to work in these. You have your powder stay away mix. You can name it whatever you want to name it. Enemy powder, go away, leave me alone, whatever you want to name it. Blocked powder, you could call it some blocked powder. You use my blocked oil and my stay away oil. This is a spell to shield the enemy back, to basically shield you from the enemy and stop them from bothering you. It'll also create blockages among them. It'll keep them away, and it'll stop them from just sending any negativity to you. And overall, if, like I said, if you work it on a consistent basis, you can start during the full moon. If not, you can start at midnight. Start at midnight and work with the clock. From midnight to around 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, you can say a petition, the same petition you're going to say as a prayer. So if you don't have a prayer written out, or you're not quite too sure what to say, that same petition can be used as the prayer or chant that you're going to use. You're praying over the candles to remove any enemies. And keep it simple. I don't recommend you put in a bunch of enemies, because when you do that, that's too much energy. And then the spell is not going to be able to go where it needs to go per person. It'll be all over the place. So working it 1 per person is recommended. You can use the shorter candles if you desire. You can use the spell candles. You can use my super candles. So any size candle can be used within the spell. Working them on the new moon or at midnight. Use the same petition as your chant or prayer. And don't hover over it too much. You don't want to place all of your energy over dark candles, especially late at night. And after you've worked it, let's say 15, 20 minutes if you're going to be doing these candles, the image candles, I want you to start reading it and taking pictures of how it's burning. Then if you're going to be using this candle will burn much longer. So leaving this to burn, if you're going to be home, of course you're going to be home, let it burn. You can place it in your bathroom, set up a just like a miniature altar that, it's going to be temporary, because you'll remove it. Once the candle is done, you remove the whole altar along with the candles and the ingredients that you use within it. So letting the 7-day glass candle, which will burn 9 to 12 days, let that burn out. Depending on the situation, now you may get a quicker burn. But for most of you, you'll get a burn that is going to take its time. The candle will move a bit slower, and as it picks up, the energy will build up. Then you'll find the flame higher, and it'll move along with time. So for those of you that have to put it out, then your candle will burn within 12 days. For those of you that can let it burn straight, you'll probably get like a 9-day burn. So be consistent. 15 minutes every day you can place over it. For the image candle, you have to watch that because it will burn down your house if you leave it burning like that. So I don't recommend you using an image candle or skull or the jumbo stick candle like this and letting it burn without you monitoring it. So if you have the time and you can do it at nighttime from the clock, from midnight going down to bring your enemies down, to block them off, to restrain them, to hold them down, then that is a perfect way to doing it as well. For those of you that like watch, that, and or for those of you that just know of the moon phase and you're not quite too sure of all the many different ways you can work, it's fine. Work at the full moon. Work at the full moon and work it from the full moon all the way to about 9-10 days. In between, yes, you have to cleanse yourself. So every single day, I don't recommend you getting up early in the morning and using the sun's energy to work a dark spell. I'd rather you work it at nighttime. I'd rather you work it when it's late. And after, what do? You take baths. You take baths on a consistent basis. You do a cleansing bath, you do a protection bath. You do a cleansing bath, you do a protection bath. And you continuously do this as you work your ritual. If you don't have the time to take a cleansing bath and the protection bath, then I don't think that this is necessarily the spell for you, because a lot of that energy is going to keep sticking with you. You know why? Because you're consistently praying over your defensive spell to remove that enemy, to stop them. And if they're continuously coming in your dreams, then that petition should have a sentence in which you are going to speak on, leave me alone mentally, stop coming in my dreams. A lot of times the enemy, they will bother you spiritually, not physically. So spiritually, you can sense their energy hovering over you and bothering you and blocking you. And guess what? Mentally, in your dreams, that is where you're going to find them many times. But if you keep yourself physically protected and spiritually protected, it's going to be very hard for them to come around you. And while working the spell to block them out, it's going to be very hard for them to come around you. So make sure that you take care of yourself and your body if you're going to be going after people that are coming for you, because they're going to keep on doing it until you have learned to control the enemy and the negativity being pushed towards you and being sent towards you. Then it'll make a better spell because you know what you're doing and you're not afraid. You know how to protect yourself, you know how to shield yourself, you know how to shield your family and your home. And once you've learned those key things in hoodoo, then it'll be much easier for you to work an enemy, to remove negativity, and to feel good about it. So I've described every single thing that you need to do. You have your powder recipe. You should have black candles all the time. You should always have black candles. And in the event you don't have any black candles, use white. Like, subscribe, and stay blessed.